Yeah, bitch, we're in a new motherfucking apartment. Yes, Lord. Okay, so let's talk about it. First things first, right? Why did I move from New York? Okay, so I've gotten a lot of questions about my move, and hopefully I answer all of them in this video. First question, where am I? I'm in Atlanta, Georgia. And I am very happy to be home. I was in my Brooklyn apartment for 7 years, and honestly, I realized that one, I'd overstayed my welcome. Like I should have moved out of that place maybe a year ago. But it was just way more convenient for me to stay. And what was convenient about it was just the fact that moving is fucking hard in New York. Like, it really is. Moving, period. No matter where you're moving from. But I feel like in New York specifically, it's really tough trying to find a place, especially as a Black woman. The way that the realtors were speaking to me and dealing with me when they would meet me and see that it was me, it was just very dismissive and very, I even feel like sometimes, like, they were upping the price. I gave myself a budget for how much I was willing to spend on a new place. And there's so many layers to this. So first of all, the rent that I was paying in that apartment was pretty low for a 2-bedroom apartment in Brooklyn. But I kind of was grandfathered into that amount because of how long I had been living there. There was something about knowing that I was paying that amount of money that made me be like, okay, I don't want to live anywhere else, because I'm not gonna be able to spend this amount and get this much space anywhere else. But I kind of had to address the fact that it wasn't just the space that I needed, I also needed amenities. I wanted a renovated apartment. I wanted, you know, a space that was reflective of where I am today. That space was reflective of where I was 7 years ago when I moved to New York, but it really was not speaking to me now. And so I just was uncomfortable living there. And it was that on top of other things that were going on, that in the building specifically, that made me just be like, I got to go. Not to give TMI, but like, one day I saw a bug that shall never be mentioned, okay, that starts with an R. And I didn't just see it once, you understand what I'm saying? And so it's like, oh no. And I had never dealt with that in all the years that I was living there, but something had happened and they were coming from another apartment. And so that was the first thing. Actually, the first thing was there was a flood, major storm in New York, and it caused a lot of flooding, and our roof caved in. The roof of the building caved in, and since I lived on the top floor, that water was coming right down onto my floor. Wow. And it was just gross and disgusting. And that was my first thing of like, oh, okay, it's definitely time to get the fuck. And then with the bug issue, that was like, oh, I can't even sleep here. I don't even feel comfortable here anymore. I have to fucking go. And so for the first month, because I really like started vigilantly, is that the word? I started aggressively looking for a new place in October. And that's when I was just every day going on another viewing. I was writing realtors every day, trying to look at apartments. And I was literally outside every day looking at a new place. And I just wasn't finding anything that felt like home. There was always something wrong, like an apartment would be on the first floor, or the view would be of a building, or you know, just something that just felt like nah, or the apartment was right next to the trash chute, like shit like that. That's just like, nah, I'm not gonna be able to live like this. And all the apartments that I was looking at were a certain amount of money, and it's like, yo, if I'm spending this amount of money, I'm not about to be living in no cramped ass space, and I'm certainly not about to be compromising my comfort You know what I'm saying? Comfort in terms of just like the area that I'm living in. A lot of the buildings that I was looking at in New York were obvious signs of gentrification. Like it was the one nice building on the block, but everything else was, you know what I'm saying, just what it was. And it's like, yo, I feel like moving into a building like this, it kind of just puts a target on your back, like letting everybody know you're not of the neighborhood. And just as a single black woman living in, you know, this place by myself, I have to be cognizant of that type of stuff. Like I need to be aware of my surroundings at all times. It was just something that I really had to pay attention to. It was a factor. So couldn't find anything. I decided to come to Atlanta to just take a moment to breathe outside of New York. I was really feeling suffocated and so uninspired in my apartment. My apartment in Brooklyn served me very well, but those last, like that last year and a half, I was really miserable because I really just was ready for a new place and just couldn't find it. And so I was annoyed and kind of felt, you know the word I'm talking about, when you just feel like you should give up. I just felt like, damn, I can't find it. So, because to be fair, can you see titties? I hope not. If I'm being honest, it's not that I was really trying to leave New York. I just was ready to leave my apartment. If I could have found a place that made sense cost-wise, space-wise, amenity-wise, you know what I'm saying, all the things, I would have stayed in New York, but I just couldn't find it. And so it was just like, all right, no. So how I ended up in Atlanta. Well, I'm from Atlanta, and I really had no intentions on moving back here at all. But I knew that there was, you know, one particular area that I was interested in if I were to move back. And I liked the area. You hear the horn talking? I like the area because there's a lot of movement and it feels like a comfortable transition from New York to Atlanta. I didn't want to come here and it be like an immediate culture shock and feeling like the pace has slowed down tremendously. You know, I kind of wanted to transition into, you know, the fact that I'm in a different state, because I know me and I have a tendency to regret shit. Like, fuck, man, I should have never did that. Or man, I wish I would have, you know, spent some more time trying to figure out how to make this work. And I have not regretted a thing. I have not regretted a thing. This was the best decision I could have made for myself. So also, let me tell y'all this. I realized this is, you know, when you're a self-reflective person, you're gonna have these, you know, therapeutic moments where, you know, you are really just thinking about you and what's best for you. And, you know, it's easier to make decisions when you understand who you are, where you come from, and where you're trying to go. And so I was just thinking about my relationship with New York, because moving to a different state when you've been living in New York for a long time, it's a big decision, you know? And the reason why it was such a big decision for me was because I had an attachment to New York. Like, my identity, low-key, relied on my living in New York. And I had to address that. There was this thing of like, okay, well, a lot of my blessings and opportunities that I get now, they happen because I'm in New York. And I had to come to terms and understand that my blessings have nothing to do with this city. It has everything to do with me. And it was about reaffirming myself and giving myself the credit for the opportunities that have come my way, not the city. The city has done so much for me in terms of my personal growth, my independence, and my, you know, just being self-reliant. And also a constant reminder that I really moved from my home state to this crazy ass city that is so beautiful and so big and that don't give a fuck about you. You know what I'm saying? You know, it takes a lot of courage to do that. And so I felt like in my moving, I kind of earned the right to make a decision that was best for me right now, even if that meant leaving the city. That was a big moment for me. I took a big exhale when I had that self-reflective moment of like, fuck. You know what I'm saying? A lot of my staying here, and specifically like staying in the apartment that I was just like, this is where I've always been. this is where, you know what I'm saying? This has happened, this has happened, this has happened. You know, if I move, I don't know what's gonna happen. And so it's about addressing the fear and understanding that it's not nothing to be afraid of. And so in the same way that I packed up my shit and moved to New York, I packed up my shit and left New York. And the thing about it is that I know that if I want to go back, I can. If I want to stay in Atlanta, I can. You know what I'm saying? Like, if I want to go anywhere, I can. So yeah, I'm in here. It was not hard finding my place. I knew exactly where I wanted to go when I came down here. What I do hope you all understand is that I am a very private person. And so you're not going to get an apartment tour. You're not going to know where I live. If you think you know what area I'm in or whatever, like I posted a picture on Instagram just sharing that I've moved and I'm in a new space, and there were people in the comments, I know where you, I recognize this, and you in Atlanta, I can tell you. And it's just like, bro, like, congratulations. But this was not a post for you to try to figure out where I'm at. This was not guess what city Kennedy moved to. You know, you don't win any points for figuring that out. And so I know that it is exciting, and we are internet cousins, and I know that in the years that I have shared, you know, my personal story online, I have built a connection with people that I've never met before. And so there is this sense of familiarity. There is this sense of familiarity. Bitch, there's a sense that you fucking know me, but the reality of it is that you don't. And the people who do know me, they respect me enough to know not to share my location online, ever, because that's fucking dangerous. So, you know, what I'm asking of you when you're in these YouTube comments is to please keep whatever location information you think you know to yourself. Another funny thing is that a lot of people were fucking wrong. And so it's just like, why don't we all just lock it? Send me a congratulations, and that's it. We ain't gotta do too much nothing else. You know, you guessing where I live at, that don't do nothing for nobody. It certainly don't do shit for me, but make me look at you like, well goddamn. You know, I was talking about this on my Instagram Live, like, look, because I don't know you, you are a stranger just telling me you know where I stay at, and that makes me uncomfortable. And no matter how good intentioned it is, it still makes me uncomfortable. I don't want to know that someone who I don't know knows where I live at. I don't want to know. I take the risk when I post my stuff, but why don't you keep that to yourself? Don't post it. Every time Dick and Harry don't need to know where the fuck I'm at. If you know, sister, keep it to yourself, baby. Let's just respect each other with that, okay? What else? Let me see. I feel like I wrote notes down. I also had to remind myself that my moving to Atlanta was a lifestyle change, not a career change, because a lot of my hesitancy came from feeling like, oh, well, I won't get the same opportunities, or, you know, will people want to work with me if I don't live in New York? Because there's this thing of like, oh, you live in New York? Like, you know, you get such a head nod when you live in New York. And so I was concerned about how I would be received not living in New York anymore. And I had to make a decision that was best for me. And right now, I needed something that felt good for me, not something that would look good to other people, but something that felt good to me, that would be reflective of what I need in my life right now. And that's how I ended up where I'm at. What I hope is that we all release the pressure and the attachment that we have to people, places, things, titles, and instead commit to our own happiness and what you're willing to do to make that happen. Let's commit to what you're willing to do for your own happiness. Because if I'm not waking up happy, I can't do my job. If I'm not waking up feeling good, I'm not gonna want to turn on my laptop and do any work. I'm just not going to want to do that. And so, you know, being clear about what I needed in my life was the best thing that I could have done, because in doing so, I realized that I didn't need the city. I needed a peace of mind. And who knows if I could have found that up there. The point is that I didn't in the time that I needed to. And so, and that's just it. Nothing more, nothing less. I moved to where I could in the time that I was trying to. And I love my fucking place. And yes, you will see bits and pieces of it, but you ain't gonna get no apartment tour out of me. Why the hell would I be showing the damn layout of my place? Next thing you know, somebody kicking down my damn door, cause they know how to run up in and out of this motherfucker. So no, I will not be sharing my damn, you know what I'm saying? Like, I know people be doing apartment tours and that's hella cute. But girl, all you gonna see is, you know, a little bit of this and a little bit of that. You know what I'm saying? A corner here and a corner there. You ain't about to be seeing the whole damn make and model. Yeah, that's basically it. So, in the short, I moved to Atlanta. I love my place. I'm ready to work. I'm ready to live the life of my dreams. My new mantra and affirmation these days is that I am fully committed to romanticizing my life. I am the main character of this bad boy, and I'm gonna make sure that she is doing everything she wants to do and feels good while she's doing them. So, yeah. That's it. All right, I'm gonna go. I'm hungry as hell, and I've got laundry to do. Bitch, I have a fucking washer and dryer in my apartment. When the blessings go up, yeah, the blessings come down. Oh no. When the prayers go up, yeah, the blessings come down. Yeah. All right, bye. Thanks for watching. See ya.